Okay, welcome to our Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authority Youth One-Stop Affiliate Program Workshop. And today is what? What's the date? 7th, and what day? Thursday, January 7th, 2016. And you're probably wondering what we're doing here, right? You have any idea?
No.
Okay. How about you, Chance? Clueless. Okay. You just knew, you're told you need to be here, and so you're here, right? Okay, good. So my name is Edward. I'm the Director of Education for a school called Larson Training Centers. I think I might have some brochures here. So this is what we do. Let's hand one back to Erica. So we are a post-secondary school, which means what? What does that mean?
College? Well, after high school?
Exactly, yeah, after high school. Post-secondary is after high school. Who here has high school degrees? Okay, GED? How far did you get?
Actually have been for the past 5 years.
Okay, so but you're in your 20s? 19, okay, cool. So you started high school or no? Not one day. Okay, cool, that's all right. Don't worry about it. Abraham Lincoln didn't go to high school either. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he didn't even go to middle school. He only had 30 days of formal school, and he became president. So anyway, I am the Director of Education for this school. This is a post-secondary school. We're not like UNLV, CSN, and those schools in that our job is to teach people how to have jobs to go get work, stable and meaningful employment. That's what we teach. And the type of school that we are is not graded upon how smart the people are, it's graded upon who gets jobs. And so I'm happy to report that our school has the highest placement rate in the state of Nevada of all post-secondary schools, including UNLV and CSN and Phoenix and Toro and DeVry and everyone else. We have an 87% placement rate. So that means 87% of the people who finish our program are employed. The key word there was sort of finish, because not all of our students finish. Many or most of our employees are in prison. Okay, they get to leave the prison to come to school, then they go back to prison. We have a campus at one of the prisons here in Nevada. We have other students that are convicted of misdemeanors. They can't pay their fines, so the court says, well, if you want to go to school instead of sweeping streets, you can do that. Other students we have live at Catholic Charities, Salvation Army, Shade Tree, that's where they live. So that's where our students come from. And our students start with a 5% chance of stable and meaningful employment, and we're at 87%. And the reason is we help them get the skills that they need to get the type of employment they want. So let me put this on the board and we'll talk about it later. If you do what you love, you'll never what? You'll never what? Work a day in your life. Okay. You'll never work a day in your life. So I'm proud to report that our 87% placement is not just saying to people, hey, we got this menial job for you. It's teaching people how to get these jobs, the things that they really want to do. How do we do that? Well, you don't know yet, but what I want you to remember is we do it because we have a structure that motivates people to learn and gets them to be committed to learning. About 12 years ago, my job was to teach ex-Navy SEALs, people who discharged from the Navy, how to be able to work out there in the real world. Because Navy SEALs are the highest best trained people in the world. More money is spent on Navy SEALs than anybody. And they're great at what they do, but what do you think when they get out, there's a lot of jobs for Navy SEALs to do what they do? Not really. They can go work for contractors, and some of them go work for fire departments, and some do other things, but there's not a lot of job for private-owned Navy SEALs. And it's not really a fulfilling life when you get to be old. But so my job was teaching them, and I say that because there's things that I learned from them that we incorporate into the school. So for one thing, Navy SEALs have an attitude of they're going to get it done. When it comes to Navy SEALs, I don't remember the numbers, but it's like 10 or 15 people apply for everyone that makes it through training. It's a very small percentage. And the Navy's spent millions of dollars trying to figure out how to cut that ratio down, right? Because if you have to go, if it's 1 out of 10, wouldn't you save a lot of money if it was 1 out of 5? If you could just get rid of 5 of the 10 people in the very beginning and say, we're not going to bother, wouldn't that make sense? The Navy can't figure out how to do it. But I asked one of our students, what is it that gets somebody through Navy SEALs basic training, which is called BUDS? He said, I don't know, but for me, my attitude was I'd rather die than quit. I'd rather die than quit. Because when you're in basic training with the SEALs, they're not trying to wear you down physically. They're wearing you down mentally. They're saying, hey, Chance, you're not going to be a Navy SEAL. Just go ring the bell right now. Go. Wouldn't you rather be with your girlfriend, your parents? Wouldn't you rather be doing something? Wouldn't you rather go to school? I've been doing this Navy SEAL thing for 15 years. You're not going to make it. Just quit now. That's what most of the time is spent being a Navy SEAL. Yeah, they're beating you down physically, but it's mainly a mental thing. And so one of the things we incorporate into our curriculum is to get people to take their negative thoughts and put them over here. Because if you listen to your negative thoughts, what's going to happen?
It's going to affect performance and you'll suffer.
Yeah, you're going to do it. If you convince yourself you can't do something, what's going to happen?
You won't be able to.
Yeah, why not?
Because that's what you told your brain.
Yeah, you convinced yourself you can't do it. So one of the things we do, we spend a lot of time, it's not easy, we spend a lot of time getting people to get, if you think you can't do something, you're going to be right. So, so we have people who are committed to doing what it takes to be able to do this. Does that sound pretty simple? Does anybody here would anybody here not want to do this? So Desmond, would you not want to do this?
No, my main goal would be to get a job that I absolutely love.
Okay. Okay. Right. And how about you, Chance? Okay. This is a thing we would all want to do, right? But the way you said it, one of my goals would be to get a job that I love.
Well, I guess it would technically be more than a job.
Okay. So when you say one of the things, what are you opening the window for? Other things. As opposed to saying, the thing I want is to get a job that I love. See, what you're saying is, I'd like to get a job that I love. What I hear you saying is, I'd like to get a job I love, but you know what, I'll take a job I don't love. So what happens when a job you don't love comes along? And the job you do love doesn't come along. What are you probably going to do?
Well, I guess keep shooting for the job that I love.
No, you're probably going to take the job you don't love.
Well, I mean, that too, but I mean, I won't give up on.
Well, that's what everybody says, and that's the right attitude. But what happens with most people?
Stuck.
They get stuck in doing what they're doing, and believe it or not, time goes by really fast. I remember when I was 22 years old, like it was yesterday, except it was 35 years ago. So we get where we are because people make a commitment. And our program is 16 weeks, 5 days a week, 7 hours a day. not a little 1 week, 1 hour class. It's heavy duty. And when people start, they say they want to make a commitment. They like the idea, but our habits, our daily routines kick in and they fight us. So it's a thing we have to make a commitment, a real commitment. This is what I'm going to do. And some point in that 16 weeks, that kicks into their brain and they say, okay, I'm going to do it. You know, in other words, it's one thing to say on day 1 of BUDS, I'd rather die than quit. It's another thing to say 4 weeks into it, when you've been used to mental torment, mental torture, to be able to say that. You know, and at a certain point, you are able to say, I'd rather die than quit. But you know what? I'm not going to die because I can make it. In the beginning, it sounds kind of fun. I'd rather die than quit. But I'm not in that position. I don't know what it feels like. When you're in that position, you start thinking, I'd rather die than quit. Do I really mean that? Can I do that? Am I going to die? But then at a certain point, you get, you're going to make it. And so, so that's what our school does. And we teach people to be what's called autodidactic. Any idea what that means?
The word didactic sounds familiar, but I can't place a definition on it.
Okay, how about auto?
Well, auto is self-explanatory.
Okay, what does it mean?
Well, you know, without needing, I guess, intervention, so it just goes on by itself.
Okay, so it's self.
Yeah.
So automatic pilot is self-piloting. The pilot applies itself. So autodidactic is self-didactic. And didactic is learning or teaches, learning. So autodidactic is learning to learn. You're self-taught. And it's better, it's important, it's essential today to be autodidactic. Why? Because things are changing so fast. At the turn of the 20th century, you could learn a skill and you could use that skill for your whole career. Learn how to type on a typewriter. How long did it last that typewriters were the only way to get things on pieces of paper that look neat?
I guess I can only guess like 20 or 30 years.
Okay, so you think typewriters came out in the 1950s?
Well, it wasn't when they came out that I was thinking about. It's just when they were widely used, but I had no idea.
Okay, so there was a time before typewriters, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, did the Romans have typewriters?
No.
No, they didn't have typewriters. There was a time before typewriters, then typewriters came in, and that was the cutting edge, right? So my question is, how long did that last, that there was nothing better than a typewriter? You think it's only 20 years? So you're saying in World War II they didn't have typewriters?
History is not my strong suit.
Okay. How about you, Chance?
I can only guess since I haven't really known history.
Okay.
But I'd have to say around 100 years.
Okay, so I don't know what the answer is, but in my brain, the analysis I do is I say, okay, I remember before typewriters, there were these Morse code things, teletype,
Right.
like in the Old West, the guy began dee 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 dee, right? He didn't have a typewriter. He had that crude thing, but they had printing machines. But the printing machines, they had to set type. So I don't know what the answer is, and if I was Erica looking at my computer screen, I would have done a Google search to say, when did typewriters come out? But my preference is you're not on your computers right now. That's not my preference. But if you were on your computers, the thing to be doing would be, I'm going to answer that question. But it was a long time. It was a lifetime. You could learn to type and have your whole career that you didn't have to learn anything new. But then in the 80s, word processors came out, right? And how strong was your job if you knew how to type but you didn't know how to use a word processor? How good was job security?
Pretty low.
Pretty low. Why?
Well, I mean, sure you can type, but you know, unless you know that new skill, then you'll be left behind. Like people learn it faster.
Yeah. So your employer might love you. Edith has been with us for 20 years. She knows everything, but she only knows how to type. Our business is moving to word processing. We want everybody to do word processing. We don't want Edith to be typing pieces of paper anymore. She says she can't learn to do it. Who's the problem?
She is.
Yeah, Edith is the problem. Okay, so it used to be you could know a thing and you could go your whole career and not have to know anything else. Those days are gone. And the days of now just knowing how to use Microsoft Office, gone. Microsoft Office is obsolete. Not really obsolete. It's not the best choice. It's becoming obsolete. So, but you have to be able to self-learn. If your attitude is somebody needs to teach me, somebody needs to teach me, I don't know how to do this, somebody needs to teach me. If that's your default mode, what's going to happen when something new comes along? Huh?
Stop.
You're going to say to yourself, I can't do this. Okay, so we teach our students to be autodidactic, to be able to teach themselves. So when something new comes along, they say, okay, I just have it next. I just have to learn how to do this. We also have an 87% placement rate because we train our people to do jobs that every business needs. 100% of businesses, and when I say business, I mean for-profit. I don't mean non-profit, I don't mean government, I mean business. 100% of the businesses out there, every single business up and down the street, we teach our students to do things that those businesses need. So that means our people who graduate could go work anywhere. Okay, as opposed to, let's say it's a school that teaches you how to cook. Okay, you want to be a cook, there's a school that teaches you how to cook. There's a lot of cooking jobs, but if there's a muffler shop that has an opening and you don't have any experience with mufflers, but you just graduated from cooking school, do you have any value? No, what you learned has no value. Cooking doesn't translate into muffler shop, right? It's a totally different recipes. Okay, so we teach our people to do that. Now, let's get our books. And what I want you to do is make sure your book is like this. This is the cover. On the cover, I want you to write okay? Write that on the cover. And then put your name and today's date.
Huh?
Where's the sign-in sheet? Okay, is there a pencil on that? A pen? Okay. So write Res Gesta, your name and today's date. Okay, everybody have that? Okay, now in your book, only write on the right-hand side of the page. Don't write on the left. So on your first page, on this page over here, write contents. so you guys might need more paper. So this goes on page 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, so only write the number of the page on the lower right-hand corner. More pages. Except for Eric. Okay, so when you open it up, it should say contents. And then the next page says Google Apps. And then the next page says important thoughts. And the next page says brain. So put this new sheet in there. No, you don't put it in. Put it in the middle because your pages will be screwed up. Okay? So that should work. Good. Okay? So this page should say contents. Now, go to this page, page 1, and then write Google Apps.
Right.
Okay? So write Google Apps, page 1.
Just to be sure, that's all going on the content page?
Also,
Okay,
it's going to go on the contents page and each page.
okay.
Okay, Chance, you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is your content. Okay, now I want you to go to the next page. Okay, write 1, and then write Google Apps. And Erica, this is your 3rd time, so you know how to do it, right? And work as fast as you can. What are you looking for?
I'm just looking for it.
Important thoughts, brain. You have it? Erica, you already have this. Desmond?
Just filling out the rest of the contents page, everything else is set.
Okay, good. So I'm going to move on. What I want you to do is go to page 7. Oh, res gesti, what does that mean? Okay, I know that nobody knows. It's Latin. It means things done. So the Romans didn't have a word for history. For them, it was things done. This is the past. So if you have a book, okay, so now skip forward to your important thoughts page, which is page 5, right? And write this on there. Power perceived is what?
Is it power gain?
Close. Power achieved. Power perceived is power achieved. So if you have Latin on your book and people see your book, what are they going to think of you?
Pretty smart.
Yeah, right? Huh. This guy knows Latin. Must be smart. That's power perceived. If people think you're smart, how are they going to treat you?
Smart.
They're going to treat you like you're smart. When you go in for a job interview, if they think that you're a dummy, are you going to get hired? No, unless they want to hire dummies. You know, if they want to hire dummies, crash test dummies, whatever. If they want to hire dummies, and you seem like you're a dummy, you're in. But that's not really a good strategy. Okay, now do you have a page 9 in your book?
Yep.
You do. Okay, let's do page 9. I want to get that knocked out of the way first because, and everybody has this written down on important thoughts? Okay, Desmond?
Yep.
Good, all right. So, what I want you to do on page 9 is draw something like that. Hello. Erica has the sign-in sheet. Hello. Good. Thank you. Okay, so sit next to Erica because she's going to have to get you up to speed.
Okay.
Because you're a little bit behind us. What is your name?
Adriana.
Adrian?
Adriana.
Adriana. So this is your book.
Okay.
You need to write fast because time is racing. But for right now, just go to a page and mark it page 9. Okay, so this is called businesses. Business, jobs. No, not jobs, business departments. Okay, business departments. And you have this cross on your page, right? Page 9. You have this, Desmond? Okay. Erica? Okay, all businesses have 4 functions. Okay? So one is operations. If you're a pizza parlor, what is your operations? What do you do?
Sell pizzas.
Well,
Bake pizzas.
you make pizzas. You make and sell pizzas. Okay, if you're a muffler shop, what do you do?
Remove and reattach mufflers.
Yeah, that's what they do. Okay, that's operations. So operations in a business is what they do. House cleaning business, they clean houses. Okay, that's the operations function of a business. Okay, another function is finance. Okay, my undergraduate degree is in finance. Finance is not accounting. It's totally different. So I want you to write this under finance. Finance is what is money? Okay? That's what finance is about. What is money? How do we get it? What is the answer to the question, what is money?
Make most profit.
What is money? Not a trick question.
What is?
If I say to you, do you have any money?
It's subjective reality.
No. Well, it is a subjective reality, but what is it?
Currency.
We all know what money is, right?
Well, yeah.
If I take a dollar bill out and say, what is this? Everybody's going to say, money, right? Right? Okay. So the answer, did anybody see Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
Anybody see the movie Forrest Gump? Do you remember it?
Vaguely, it's been a while, but.
What did he say when they said, what are you, stupid?
Stupid is stupid does.
Okay, good. What is money? Money is what money does. Okay, we're not going to talk about that, but that's the answer to the question. So finance is a totally different thing than people are used to. It's not accounting. Finance is a totally different thing. People that have an undergraduate degree in finance, not accounting. It's a totally different thing. And it has to do with what is money, and the answer is money is what money does. Okay, so that's why people can get a degree in something like that, because it's not something you can do in a day. You know, it takes years to really focus on this. Okay. At our school, we don't do this. And we don't do this at our school. We don't do operations. We don't teach people how to make pizzas, how to do mufflers, how to do air conditioning, electricity, plumbing. We are not a school that does anything like that. We don't teach operations. And we don't teach finance. because it's very hard for people to get money is what money does. Huh? So what does that mean? It's very hard for people. We don't do that. There's two more departments, two more things in all companies. Doesn't matter whether you're a muffler shop or your General Motors or your Tesla. The other department is admin and marketing, sales. Okay? All businesses have operations, right? All businesses have to have money. All businesses are in business to make money, because we're talking about for-profit businesses, not non-profit, not government things. Money is what they're all about. They have that. Admin and marketing and sales. Now, people who own companies are really interested in these people because they get nothing happens until something is sold. Okay? So your question about if you're a pizza thing, what do? You said what? What was the first thing you said?
Sell pizzas.
Sell pizzas. Okay, so if I'm an interviewer and things, I would get, okay, this guy could be in sales because he said sells pizzas. He didn't say makes pizzas. If you get a guy who thinks his job is to make pizzas, that might not be a guy you want to put in sales, because he's going to be focused on making pizzas, not selling pizzas. But I know in business, I'm speaking as the owner, I know in business, if I don't sell pizzas, what do I not need to do? I don't need to make them. If I can't sell them, I don't need to make them. Am I going to sell a lot of liver and onion pizzas? No. Okay? If I'm interested in making pizzas, I might say, hey, you know what? Liver and onion pizza. Nobody else makes that. That's going to be great. We're going to be the only people making liver and onion pizza. Okay? But all businesses need marketing and sales. We teach our students marketing and sales. And there's this other thing called customer service. Okay, so I'm going to put that across both, because some people think of it as an administrative function, and some people think of it as marketing and sales. At General Electric, customer service is in sales. What's customer service mean to you? If you work in a customer service department of a company, what does that mean to you?
Being I guess the front line of a business is interaction with customers.
Okay, like, so what? Happy interactions with customers or customer complaints?
I guess it depends. Sometimes it's both, but other times customer complaints go straight up to that.
Okay. So I put it here because sometimes companies see it that way. General Electric sees it over here. Because if you have a complaint and you call me and I solve your problem, what might you do?
Continue.
You might buy something else.
Well, yeah.
And at General Electric, they train their customer service people. You solve the problem and you sell them something else. Because they need something, we sell them. Could be a training thing, could be another product that's like that, could be, there's a lot of things it could be. You need another battery, you need another power cord, you need another this, you need another that, you already have that. How about this? When people call customer service, they get themselves worked up. This is war. They're going to be resisting. I'm going to tell them I have a problem. They're going to try to blame me. I'm going to have to do this. It's not going to be fun. If you talk to a customer service person and they solve your problem and they make it good, you're happy. Who buys? Happy people or sad people? Yeah. Okay. If you make them happy, they might buy something else. But they're probably going to go back and tell their friends, hey, I had a good experience. I had this problem. I called and they said, no problem. Anybody familiar with Nordstrom's store, clothing store?
No, of it. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a higher end store. Their policy, they got to be huge Because their policy was, they started out selling shoes. Their policy was, if you're not happy with your shoes, bring them back. Not the next day, not the next week, when you're not happy with them. That's a year from now, bring them back, no problem. Because they didn't get people who abused them. Very few people would wear a pair of shoes, wear them out and come in and say, hey man, I didn't like these shoes. Because they treated people fairly. And every time they needed shoes or somebody else needed shoes, they'd go to Nordstrom, because if you don't like your shoes, they're going to take them back. So customer service for me really should be more on this side. If you end up working in a restaurant, is a waiter here or here?
The marketing, sales, most likely. Well, yeah, I mean, they're the waiter, so they're not the chef, they're not the busser.
Okay, so what I want you to do is footnote sales and put this down. Sales begins after the prospect says no. What are you before that, Erica? What are you before that? What if you're a prospect? What are you before you say no?
Potential client.
You're not a salesperson. Before the prospect says no, what is that? What is the person called? You're not called a salesman, because sales begins after you say no. Salespeople say, you're not selling to somebody until after they say no. What are you before they say no? What is the person that works at Jack in the Box behind the counter called? Salesman? No, what are they called? Yeah, what are they're called that. But what are they really? What do? They take orders. Okay, you walk up to the counter. What do you want? I want this, 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 and this. Okay, good. It's $2. Whatever. Okay, that's an order taker. Salespeople say, selling starts after the person says no. You walk into a Jack in the Box, you walk up to the counter. The person says, would you like to try our special? No. Really? Because it's really good. People like it. Now you're selling. Because they said no. You're not just an order taker. So that's an important thing to know. You get a job at a 7-Eleven, gas station, retail, bar, restaurant, and you're a server, or you're a, Adriana, what did you call it?
Retail associate?
Yeah, you're a retail associate. You're either an order taker or you're a salesperson. If you just wait for the customer, you just leave it at, would you like anything else? That's an order taker. If you say, how about some socks to go along with that? Now, you're not just an order taker. You're technically a salesman. But salespeople, because they inflate, they're proud of what they do, they say, well, selling doesn't start till after they say no. So if a person says, no, I don't want any socks, they're not going to try to get them to buy something different or more, or convince them to buy socks. How about a shirt? How about a tie? You really need a keychain. You know, that's what selling is. And businesses like people who can sell. Even if you're hired as a retail associate, even if you're hired as an order taker, they want people who can sell. So now go to your important thoughts page. There's two things all businesses want. Erica. Two things all businesses want. Desmond, do you have an idea? Erica's looking it up. Don't say it yet. Let's see if they know. What are two things all businesses want? Fundamentally. Ultimately, fundamentally, that's why they're there. Okay, this is why you don't get jobs. Because if you don't know what they're looking for, it's just random throwing things. How about this? How about that? Well, what are the two things businesses want? Why are they there?
To help people.
No. Profit. Okay, they want to make money.
I guess I was thinking of nonprofit business.
Okay, no, we're not talking about nonprofit businesses. Delete those from your mind. Okay? Two, they want to save money. They only hire people. They're only in business to make money, and they make money partially by saving money, not wasting money. They only hire people who are going to make them money or save them money. Do you think anybody's going to hire you if you walk in and they say, well, why should we hire you? And you say what, Erica? Why should we hire you?
Because I'm going to help you make.
No, this I'm talking about why they're not going to hire you. If you go in and say what? Why should we hire you?
Because I want a job.
Yeah, so Erica remembers me doing this. If you walk into a job and they say, why should we hire you? You say, because I really need a job. Wham, wham. Are they going to hire you? No, they're not going to hire you. They only want to hire people who make the money or save the money. So what you want to say in an interview, and write this down, when somebody says, why you, ... you, what do you say, Erica?
Why you want?
Why should we hire you?
Because I'm the person that's going to help you make and save money.
Okay, that's a little bit long, but that's basically right. Why should you ask me? Chance.
Why should we hire you?
Well, ask it like you really mean it.
Why should we hire you?
Take three. Okay. Now, why should we hire you?
Why should we hire you?
Right? Because I'm going to make you more money than anyone else. Now, what if you believe me? What do you have to do?
Well, I would hire you.
Unless you didn't like me for some reason. Like, I believe you could make us more money than anyone. Anybody here at Steve Jobs? Ever hear of Steve Jobs?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody not hear of Steve Jobs? Okay, so a friend of mine named Nolan Bushnell invented a game called Pong and started a company called Atari. And Steve Jobs worked at Atari. There's a show on Netflix called Jobs, about Steve Jobs. And it shows the scene that Nolan had told me about when Jobs was at Atari. Everybody hated him. They wanted him fired. He was just a technician. Everybody fired him, an engineer. They wanted him fired because he was obnoxious, he was rude, and he didn't bathe. So he smelled. So he would say things like, Chase, you suck. Chance, you suck. You're not an engineer. I could do that when I was in the 5th grade. And to everybody, not just you, to every single person that was in there. And so who do you think they talked about during breaks? Him, right? So if you say, I'm going to make you more money than anyone else, and they believe you, and they like you, they have to hire you. If they believe you but they don't like you, they probably won't hire you. Nolan said to the people, to the manager, the supervisor of these people, look, because the supervisor said, no, we got to fire Jobs. He's just too obnoxious, bad personal hygiene. Nobody else can work. And Nolan said, well, Steve has talent. We're not going to fire Steve because of the other people who aren't as talented, don't like him. Let's figure out what we can do with Steve so he's not around these people. So in the movie, in real life and in the movie, they had Steve working at night alone. Because they knew he could make the money. Nolan knew that the guy is talented. He can make the money. So all businesses want these two things. When you get in an interview for a job, you want to be able to say, look, I'm going to make you more money than anyone else. And you need to say it like you believe it. Not like what, Erica?
I think I'm gonna make you more money.
Exactly. Not like that. Not like I'm going to make you more money than anyone else. Question mark. Okay, not like that. You have to say it as it's true. Okay. So now back to this page, page 9. Marketing and sales. This is the surest way to success in business because businesses, nothing happens until something's sold. Do you like selling? Okay, let me rephrase the question. Do you like selling?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you really?
Yes.
Okay, you're not saying it like it's true. You're saying it like, I think that's the right answer. Which is okay if it is, if that's how you feel. I'm just trying to understand how you actually feel. There's not a right answer. Do you like selling?
Yes, I do.
Do you really? Okay. All right. Okay. Do you like selling?
No, I prefer to fix things.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. So I also have a law degree. So you're very lucky. You have somebody who graduated from a very good university with a degree in finance and somebody who has a law degree. So let me rephrase the question. Do you like selling?
Sure, I like making money.
Okay.
Is this a yes or no? I
Yeah.
know there's no wrong answer. So I'm just gonna say yes then.
So, yeah, because I wasn't asking about anything else,
Well, yeah.
right? You told me first about you like fixing things, then you told me you like money. People don't have to sell to make money, right?
Yeah.
They can just go get a copy machine and they can print money.
Well,
It's not legal, right? Okay. So do you like selling?
yes.
Okay, not very convincing, Desmond.
I'm a very
Okay.
monotone guy.
Well, okay, so that's a thing you might want to think about. Okay. Erica, do you like selling?
No,
Okay. Adriana, do you like selling? Okay. There's one thing we're always selling. What is that?
Ourselves.
We're always selling ourselves. And most communication is not verbal. Most communication is not verbal. It's nonverbal. So write down on your important thoughts, TED.com, Amy Cuddy. Okay, so go watch that TED Talk. Amy Cuddy, Harvard professor. Our school, we start with TED Talks every day. TED.com, Amy Cuddy. Nonverbal communication is mostly how we communicate. Has anybody here ever heard the term body language? Okay, what does that mean?
you send out signals to other people.
Aha. Do we mainly think about our body language or their body language?
Other people's body.
Right. Well, whose body language should we really care about? Ours. Because that's what we're communicating to them. So if you're monotone, what is it communicating?
Lack of interest.
It could be perceived as lack of interest, right? It could be perceived as lack of interest. You might be very interested, but I can't read your mind. I don't know what's going on inside of your brain. All I know is how you're behaving. And I have this frame of reference. It's people that are into something are not monotone, right? They're more animated, right? So one of the things we talk about at our school is how you are perceived by other people. Most people don't think about that. Or if they do think about it, their attitude is, hey, I'm an outlaw. That's how I am. Okay, well, are you happy being a homeless outlaw? Do you want to really end up dying in prison? Is that when you were 5 years old, when somebody said, what do you want to do when you grow up? Hello.
Hi, I'm so sorry I'm late.
It's okay. What is your name?
Tarvis Hudson.
How do you spell
Tarrye.
it? Okay.
How are you today?
I am well.
Yeah.
Okay. So when
Thank you.
somebody perceives that you're not interested, or if you want to be an outlaw, how many people when they're 5 years old, when somebody says, what do you want to be when you grow up? They say, I want to be in prison.
Whoa.
And do you think anybody?
No.
No, they don't. But when they get older, they often have this attitude of, hey, I'm an outlaw. That's who I am. And they act that way, and people perceive them that way. And what happens? A lot of them end up dying in prison. And then there's a day that comes before they die in prison. And I say this because most of our students are in prison. There's a day that comes and they say, you know what, this isn't how I wanted my life to turn out. If I could live my life over, if I could cut off my arm to go back 20 years, I would do it. Because I'd rather go through having a good life with one arm than dying in prison with having a life that had no meaning. So what I want to say is, the one thing we're always selling is ourselves, because most communication is not verbal, it's nonverbal. So the way we act, the way we look, the way we dress, the eye contact we make with people, that is all communicating to other people. So what we have to do is communicate our best selves. And here's the fact, for people who think that this is who I am, we have these little things that we're made of called what? Called what? Erica. These little things that we're made of.
Oh, so.
Cells. Called what? Atoms? Well, okay. You have enough paper? Good. Just in case you need it.
Thank you.
Okay, so our bodies are made of cells. Do the cells last 100 years?
No.
How long do cells last?
As long as you live.
Huh?
For as long as you live.
No, they don't live as long as you live.
I mean, like, it wasn't like a 24-hour period, was it?
No. Cells last about 7 years in your body. So what does that mean when you're 8? How many of the cells that you originally were born with are left in your body?
All of one.
None. About every 7 years, every cell in our body has been replaced by another cell. That's how cells work. They make copies of themselves, and then they die. And then this, if it's a skin cell, it falls off and it's around the house. If it's an internal cell, where do you think it comes out? Right. Okay, that's what happens. So we're not who we think we are. Or we're not, hey, I'm an outlaw, this is who I am. No, because in 7 years, you're going to be a completely different body. There's going to be one cell in you. It's not exactly true because neurons are longer. But there's not one cell in you that is in you today. You have the ability to change. But if you tell yourself back to 1 hour ago, if you tell yourself this is who I am and you believe it, what happens? Yeah, then you're going to make it true. Okay, so back to our thing, page 9. The last department in a company is admin. What is admin? What does that mean?
Administration.
Okay, what does that mean? What's part of admin? Okay, I'll go fast. HR, IT, professional, accounting, property, plant, and equipment. Okay, it's all of the people who do things so that the operations people can do their job. If you work in making pizzas, what does an admin person do that's in HR? They pay the people who work there, right? They make sure they have insurance, they pay the rent, they pay the lights, they make sure the guy who makes the pizza say, hey, I need dough. I need flour because I need to make pizzas. He doesn't order it. The admin people order it, purchasing. Okay? So at our school, we teach people admin, marketing and sales. We teach them that. And specifically, we teach them this, and accounting. Every business, can you think of a for-profit business that doesn't need sales and marketing? No, every business needs that. What is Facebook? Where does social media fit on here?
Marketing.
Huh?
Marketing.
Marketing, right. Okay, if you like doing social media, you're going to be in the marketing department. Our people teach marketing. Customer service, we already talked about that. Admin, that could be a receptionist at an office, that could be a file clerk, that could, that's anybody who helps these people do their jobs. They don't do this job, but they help these people do this job. And we teach accounting, and accounting isn't just an accountant. It could be people taking inventory. Could be accounts receivable people, accounts payable people, people who process the payroll, people who work with these people regarding ordering, purchasing. Okay, so that's what we teach our students. So we have the highest placement rate in the state of Nevada because we start with people who are motivated to become something else. A. B. They learn to teach themselves how to do new things. Okay, they have this idea of, I would rather die than quit. And it's my responsibility to learn this. I can't use the excuse of boo-hoo, nobody showed me. A lot of people have that excuse because that's how they were taught. You don't need to learn it, I need to teach you. And a lot of people in jobs say, don't blame me that I couldn't do the job, nobody showed me how to do it. The good news is, that's what everyone else says. Good people don't ever say that. Because the people who say that, what do you think their supervisor thinks of them? Somebody who says, well, nobody showed me, don't blame me. Nobody told me to do that. Nobody showed me how to do that. What do you think the supervisor thinks? Give me more people like that? No. They think, oh, okay, that person's over here. They're not the person who's the can-do person. That's not the person I go to if I need something done. Because they're not going to do it, and they're going to turn around and basically blame me. You never showed me how to do that. That's what everybody says. And they kind of say it the way I just said it. So these are the 4 functions in a business. This is what we teach our people. We start with people who are motivated. I'd rather die than quit. And guess what? If you're in prison and you're at that stage in life and you say, you know what, I don't want to die in prison, and somebody says, well, here's the Willy Wonka golden ticket. Let's just do a mental exercise. What do you think your attitude would be? This is the last chance. This is my ticket out of the ghetto. I'm going to do whatever I have to do because I know this is the last time I'm going to get an opportunity to learn. Who would you rather have on your team? Somebody who's committed to success or somebody who says, well, I just don't feel like it today. I'm just not into going to work today. Not into doing the best I can do. Who do you want on your team? If you're a Navy SEAL and you have to go capture Osama bin Laden, do you want a guy that's on a helicopter and says, you know what, I'm just not feeling it today? Do you want that guy on the mission with you? No, you don't. Why? Because people die. You're a Navy SEAL. You're going to get Osama bin Laden. He's not just going to go willingly. You know, I can be in the helicopter saying, come out with your hands up. You got to go and get it. So you need to take people. You need people on your team. You need people on your team who are going to do that. Okay, next. Oh, so they're motivated, they're committed, They have an attitude of, I'd rather die than quit. They take the responsibility to know that they have to learn to do it. They present them best selves. They focus on their nonverbal communication skills. Now, I don't care what you think. I care what I think you think. Because I don't have time to know what you really think. And I'm not really even going to know if what you tell me you think is what you really think, right? Gets to be kind of goofy. Psychology, reverse psychology. You know that I know that you know that I know that you know type of thing. It's kind of goofy, right? So I can't spend time trying to figure out what you think. And I'm not really pointing at you. I'm pointing at the hypothetical person across the desk. I don't have time to try to figure out what you think. I care if you make me money or you save me money. If you're an accountant, do I want you to make me money if you're in the accounting department? No. I know if you're making me money here, you're probably doing something you're not supposed to do. Because accounting people are supposed to count and account. They're not supposed to go out and sell or bend the rules to pretend this is that and that's not that. That's how people go to prison. So, so that's what we teach at our school. Okay, so that's page 9, business department. Every business needs those things. So do you think for your future, if you know how to do these things, it might be better than if you know how to do a thing like, say, pizza? Right? If you know how to make pizza, you've got a shot, and you're really good at making pizza. You have a good shot at doing what? Making pizzas. You don't have a good shot at doing sales because you're good at making pizzas. Now, you also might have sales skills, but you're not going to sell because you are good at making pizzas. You're going to sell because you're a good salesman. Okay, because people believe you. Okay, so that's what we do at our school. Now, again, our people start at a 5% chance of getting employment, and we have 87% placement. Our people start in prison, sentenced by the courts, living in homeless shelters, Catholic Charities, Salvation Army, etc., places like that. And when you have the right attitude, you can do it. So it's like climbing the mountain, right? Picture there's Mount Everest. What do you need to do in order to climb Mount Everest? What if you say, I can never do that? You're going to be able to make it? No, you have to believe you can. You have to believe you can do it. So part of what we do is we get people to understand if you believe you can do something, then you can find a way to do it if you know how to teach yourself. But do you think you can get to the top of Mount Everest just because you believe you can? Why not?
Well, you need the gear and the preparation.
Yeah, and not only do you need the gear
You need the knowledge.
and the preparation, you need to know how to use the gear.
Yeah.
Okay, so we start with people who are committed, who have the right attitude, and then we teach them the skills that they need to do those jobs. The most fundamental skill is typing. So a takeaway for everyone here today, if you're going to get a job in today's world, in one of those positions, if you can't type 35 words a minute, you have a problem. You have to be much better at something else. This group of people. If you already have a job and you can't type, you already have a job. You grew up in a world where you didn't need to type. Today, if you want to go out and get in there, you need to type. But for you guys, you really need to type at least 55 words per minute. Can you type 55 words a minute? Probably don't know, right? Does anybody know what they actually type by having done a typing test? Huh? No, okay. So you need to be able to type. So you can go on the internet. At our school, we use Mavis Beacon. But they have a lot of online typing things. So one of the things that you want to do is your to-do, what you're going to do when you leave here, one of the things is, besides the Amy cutting, right? Besides that, is to download and practice typing. We have a lot of people that come to us that went to some other program for a week, and they helped them do a resume, and they gave them clothes, and they taught them, they did mock interview stuff, they practiced interviewing. What do you think the result is, Therese? Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you
Okay.
do.
So what do you think is the result if you walk in, you have a great resume, you have nice clothes, you practice interviewing, and they say, what is your typing speed? And you say 10 words a minute.
They're gonna
Do
be-
they care about your resume,
No,
your clothes,
all that
your
is-
interviewing? Right, okay? So we teach hard skills at our school. So typing is a hard skill. Interviewing, not hard skill. That's called what? Soft skill, okay? Not that it's not important, because those have to do a lot with nonverbal communications. If you show up and you look like a bum, you're communicating that you're a bum. You might not be a bum, but they're going to think you're a bum. You're now digging a hole that you have to dig yourself out of. You don't want to do that. But you could look great. You could be great. But if you don't have the skills, these are called marketable skills in the real world. If you don't have the marketable skills, you're not going to get the job. Now, just because you have marketable skills, are you going to get a job?
Nope,
Why?
because you need the all-around package.
Well, okay, perhaps. But everybody else who's going to get the job, not everybody who applied, but the other people who might get the job, what do they all know how to do? They all know how to type, okay? You're in an interview, you're the one of the last 10 people. If you can't type and other people can type, guess who's not getting the job? And typing is necessary, you. But just because you can type, it doesn't mean you're going to get the job, because if you walk in and say, I just graduated from school and I type 55 words a minute, and the person next to you says, well, I only type 50 words a minute, but I graduated from school 10 years ago. I've been working in jobs and offices for 10 years. And you just got out of school. Who's going to get the job?
The experience.
Yeah, okay. So the other thing you need to know as part of the whole package is, I'm just going to shorten it to Office, okay? Microsoft Office. Okay. I'm just going to shorten it to Office. You need to know Office, word processing, spreadsheets, PowerPoints, that type of stuff, calendar. You need to know that. But just because you know that and you know this, are you going to get a job?
No,
Why not?
because you could have poor hygiene or something.
No, let's say it's not that. That's true, but that could go for anything. So let's
Okay.
say you look good, you have a good resume, you dress nice, you interview, all that looks good, but we already agreed, you could look good and not have this, you're out. You could look good and have this and not this, you're out. Right? Why? Why are you out? You look good, you type, you know Office,
Maybe because you don't have the skills that they're looking for.
you don't have the experience. It's back to the same thing. You're going to be competing in good jobs with good employers. You're competing with people who know how to do this and know how to do this, and they have experience. So what's the secret ingredient? What's the secret to success that we teach at Larson? It's in your brochure.
The cloud.
Exactly. You need to know something they don't know, but that the owner wants. So let's just do another mental experiment. Imagine it's the year 1910. Nobody has a car, nobody has trucks. Okay? You live in a town, nobody has any gas-powered vehicles. You're in the beer distribution business. Okay? You make beer and you deliver it to bars and stores. How do you deliver it?
Horse carriage.
Yeah.
A horse-drawn wagon. not really a carriage, but we know what Eric is saying. It's a wagon, right? A wagon that the horses pull. And that's how you deliver beer. Who is an important person at that company that has to do with the wagon, the horse and wagon?
The person riding the wagon?
Well, he's sort of important, yeah. How about the person who makes sure that the horses are fed and taken care of and not sick and they're trained? Okay, that's an important person, right? Okay. Now let's say you just graduated from school being a mechanic. You got your certificate. This is your certificate. You got your certificate. You go to apply to work at that beer company. Do they care?
Never know.
No. Why not? They don't have any trucks. They don't need somebody who's a mechanic. Okay? They don't care. Who does? If they're looking for another person to take care of the horses, and you walk in and say, well, I just graduated, I'm a mechanic, I'm a certified mechanic, are you going to get the job? They're going to say, well, what do you know about horses? Well, I don't know anything about horses. I grew up in the city. Does that skill have any value?
No.
No. Now let's say the very next day, the owner of that company comes in and says, staff meeting, okay, all employees are having a meeting. Guess what? We're buying a truck. What's that? Well, that's a gas-powered wagon. Why? Because we can deliver a lot more beer a lot faster. Do you have value if you have your certificate if you just graduated from school?
Yes. Sir.
Why?
Because you have the proper knowledge.
You have the things that that guy needs to make money. He needs a mechanic. How about the guy who worked there for 20 years taking care of the horses?
Probably.
How valuable is he?
Not much.
No, that's right. As soon as they don't have any horses, where does he go?
To the unemployment
To the
line.
unemployment line. Maybe he goes to school to learn to be a mechanic. So our secret weapon, the thing we use to get our employees, our students employed, is we teach them skills that other people don't know, that all employers want. And what all employers want is the cloud. Why? What does the cloud do? What's the fundamental thing that businesses do? Want. Number one and
To
number
make
two.
money?
Make money and save money. Huh?
It's advertisement.
No, businesses want to make money and save money. The cloud helps them make money and save money. How does it help them make money? Well, one way is advertising. Another way is you can reach customers all over the place. Okay? And you can save money because you have centralized control of all documents. You have collaboration. Things are much more efficient. All businesses want the cloud. Do you think that all beer delivery companies wanted a truck the first time they heard about it? Yeah, why not?
Probably because it was cost significantly more to
Yeah, but I'm the truck salesman saying, hey, chance you're gonna make more money.
Because they don't know how, if it's a guarantee that they would profit.
Right, okay? So there's a thing that is the adoption cycle for all new products. And it breaks out into 5 sections of people. So let's say we're still back there, we have a beer company, we have horses, I'm a salesman, I come in and say gas-powered engines. You're going to fall into one of these 5 categories of people. No, that's not good. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something screwed. Anyway, you're going to fall into one of those 5 categories. There are people, and we know them and we see them, who say, I have to be first, right? They're the guys that are waiting at the Apple store before the thing comes, right? They're going on sale Friday, they're the people sleeping outside. They're the people that go stand in line for Star Wars, for movies before they come out. Anybody know? Anybody do anything like that here? Anybody wish they could? Okay, so, but there are people that need to be first. I have to be first. What's the opposite?
Last.
The opposite is when hell freezes over. Okay, so there were some people, when I grew up, there were no push button phones. They were all rotary. There was not a push button phone in the world. They're all rotary phones. When push button phones came out, everybody had this adoption curve that was like this. Some people said, I got to have it immediately. I don't care that it costs 5 times more than it will next year. I need to be first. And some people said, well, I'm going to take a dial phone, a push button phone, when hell freezes over. I'm not going to change. And are there people today that use Fred Flintstone cell phones
Yeah.
instead of smartphones? There are people over here.
Yeah.
So the beer guy could be a guy that says, I want it first, or he could say, I'll take an electric powered thing when hell freezes over. Or he could say, I know my customers, I know what I do, my customers trust me. So if I say it's good, my customers are going to like it. If I have a gas-powered truck and I can deliver more beer and beer faster, and I say to my customers, hey, here's what we're going to do, I know them, they'll believe it. Other guy on that curve says, well, I'll take it when my customers say they want it. So if my customers want it, I don't want it because my customers know that. So that's the same thing with the cloud. All businesses need the cloud, just as all businesses needed to get rid of their horse-drawn wagons. But some people said, no, I disagree. Cars are not reliable. Trucks, they've only been around for a few years. They're a fad. I remember when the internet came out, the websites came along, and email. And the typical person on the very first day they learned about email was, I don't need email. Nobody's going to send me an email.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody I know knows email. And the same thing happens sort of with texting. Nobody's going to send me a text. Does anybody not text today? Yeah, these people. People who are old. My dad won't text. Well, he sort of has to, because when he gets a text,
Mm-hmm.
Dad, are you going to be there for dinner? The first thing was, well, I'm not going to text. I'm going to call him back and say yes
Mm-hmm.
or no. But now he got that it's easier just to type in yes or no. Okay, but there are people like that. So you need to get that all businesses need the cloud. All businesses. One day, all businesses are going to be using the cloud, just like all beer delivery companies deliver beer in trucks. 0.0% of beer is delivered in this world today in horse-drawn wagons. Zero, none. Now, maybe in the Andes, they're still doing it on llamas because you can't get a truck to go up these mountains with these steep, narrow trails. But nobody has a horse-drawn wagon. The same thing is with the cloud. And what you need to get, what you really need to get, and say to your brain, I need to learn these things because I can't get a job without them. This is what's going to get me the job. I know the cloud, and nobody else knows the cloud. And I will tell you, I've been teaching in our school for 3 years, the cloud, and people still don't know the cloud out there. They think they do. You say, okay, well, okay, good, cool, good, that's great. You know the cloud. Well, what do you do on the cloud? And they say, well, we use Salesforce.com. Okay, good, what else? And they aren't really on the cloud. Who's on the cloud? Anybody here of Kaiser Permanente? Nobody here's from California? Medical? It's a big medical thing for people who have insurance, but it's not expensive. It was designed for working class people that have good insurance. And Kaiser Permanente has now moved to the cloud. So you go for a doctor's appointment, they bring you in a room, there's a camera in the room, there's a big screen TV in the room, there's a physician's assistant in the room, and there's the blood pressure and all that stuff in the room. But what never comes in the room is the doctor. Because you might be in LA and he's in Sacramento. And you're doing what I'm doing right now with this, a hangout on air. Our students in Nevada and California could be watching what I'm doing right now. And anybody in the world could be watching this thing that we're doing right now. But Kaiser Permanente has moved to the cloud. There are no more paper files. So where are your medical records? Yeah, so if you move from LA and you have Kaiser Permanente and you move to furthest northern part of California, what's very easy for your new doctor to do?
Look up the information.
See all of your medical history. Yeah, you don't have to take time. Oh, I got to go get my medical record. You don't have to do that. And is it more efficient for them?
Yes.
Yeah, because what do they not need?
Purchase paper.
Paper, photocopy machine, somebody punching these things, putting them in folders, typing the label, putting the folder in there, and then the next day another folder comes in. I got to move these folders, and I all of a sudden have all of these thousands of files. That all goes away. So they can save money and they can make money, because what happens if you don't need to have a doctor physically for every patient?
You can see more patients.
Yeah, they can see more patients. And what happens if you need to see you're a patient and you need to see a specialist and it's now on the cloud? Is it going to be better for you or worse? Better, because that specialist doesn't need to come see you. You don't need to go see the specialist. That specialist sees you in the room. Okay, so it's just more efficient. It's better quality of medical care. You get an expert to deal with it, because, you know, today in Nevada, if you need to see a specialist, you call up the specialist, you get a referral, and the specialist says, well, okay, I've got an opening for you in March. Right? You can imagine this, right? I'm booked solid till March. You got to come in March.
Yep.
Well, that's because it's very inefficient. He's not able to sit in his super drone pilot place where he has all of these records in this other screen where he can look things up in this screen and the camera where he can be dealing with you. He's got to see you, you wait for him, you do this, you do all. So it's much more efficient. This is where the future is. 50% of the jobs that are going to exist in 20 years do not exist today. 50%. By the time you're my age, life is going to be more different than it is today. But you have to know how to type today. You have to know these things. And if you're autodidactic, you can learn new apps. So let's go to the Google App page now, which is page 3, right? Or page 1. What page is Google Apps? Page 1. Okay, so what I want you to draw on the board is this X. And these are the Google apps that we teach in our school. Gmail, Drive, Voice, Calendar. And then when you're done with that, now draw another one like this, so you have an asterisk. Put Maps, Google Plus, Chrome, let's see, Gmail, Maps, Drive, it'll come to me in a second. And then put a box around Chrome, because Chrome is not an app. What is Chrome?
Browser.
Okay, but what is it? That's what it does. What is it? It's not an app, it's a what? It's a program. It's a computer program. What's the difference between an app and a program? So for our purposes at our school, the difference is a program is stored on your computer, an app is stored on the cloud. Okay? Chrome is stored on your computer. What competes with Chrome?
Firefox.
What else?
Internet Explorer.
Internet Explorer. Okay. Now the reason to use Chrome is because all of these other apps are designed to work in Chrome. They work in Internet Explorer, but they're designed to work in Chrome, and they work a lot better inside of Chrome. YouTube. Okay, these are the 8 Google apps that we teach our students how to do in a professional way. So, YouTube. Why would a business care about YouTube?
Potential advertising.
Huh?
Potential advertising.
Okay, so you can create sales videos, or are you saying you advertise on YouTube?
Both.
You can do both. Okay, why else would business care about YouTube? How about training videos? Right? These things that we're doing here can be used for training videos. So everybody, this shot right now, this thing we're doing right now is live for the whole world. Anybody could go on YouTube, on Google Plus, Hangout on Air, and be watching this. When it's done, Google automatically stores it on YouTube.
You mean you're streaming?
It's about 9 seconds behind. Okay, when it's done, it's automatically on YouTube. If I want to keep it for inside the company, I make it private. If I want to make it for outside the company, I keep it public. The deal with YouTube is if you're going to do, or Google, if you're going to do a Hangout on Air, which is what they're called, we're going to let you do all this free, but it's public. When you're doing it, anybody can watch it. Okay? But there's so many of these things most people don't. So you can go under the radar. You can call it something goofy. You don't call it YouTube is doing the secret training video. You don't call it that. You just call it Hetza Petza X305, or maybe not something that's sinister. You just call it something innocuous. Las Vegas training of YOSA students, that nobody's going to care about. Then you change the name. If you don't want anybody seeing it live, you give it a name that nobody cares about. When it's done, boom, you go in, you edit it, you change the name, which is just as easy as changing the name of a file. You change the name and you make it private. And now you have a training video. So for our people here, for you guys here, you don't remember what we're doing or you missed the first hour, right? But guess what? You can go on YouTube. So I want the new people to send me an email. Okay, so go online, send an email to edward@larsontrainingcenters.com. And then I'll make this available so you can go back and watch it. Why is that important?
Just to cover everything.
Because you're going to forget.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the number, Erica?
The number?
Yeah, when I say you're going to forget, what's the number? This is testing Erica because she's been here 3 times. So this is one of these things where I can't lose, because if she remembers, it's C. If she forgets, it's C. Our brains are designed to forget 70% of what we learn if we do not review it within 24 hours. Fact. So at our school, we don't give people handouts. They get a book like Erica has. So hold up your book, Erica, just so everybody sees it. Everybody gets one of these, and it's your reference manual for life. The idea is to keep it, and that's why we go into detail about table of contents and stuff. Because in the future, if you need to see see your notes on the Amy Cuddy TED Talk, you go to your table of contents. It says TED Talks, page 52. You go to page 52, and it lists all of the TED Talks and what page they're on. So it's easy to find things, so you use it. At our school, we don't have a copy machine. We don't give people handouts. Why? What happens when you get a handout? What don't you do?
Read
Yeah, you don't really read it. You might skim it, but you don't really read it. Because you don't need to read it, right? Why not? I can read it later because I have a handout.
Yeah.
So people don't really read handouts because they don't need to. And if you don't read it, what do you not do?
Remember.
You don't even learn it. There's nothing to remember. You haven't gotten to the remembering part yet. You don't know what it says. At our school, you have to write stuff. Because if you don't remember something, it's the same as not knowing it. And our brains don't in themselves know that what you had for breakfast you need to remember versus what I said in here you need to remember. Our brain doesn't know. Do most people remember what they ate for breakfast? Most young people, most people your age, do you remember what you ate for breakfast?
Yeah.
You know why? Do you know why?
Why?
Because you told your brain, I need to know that. I need to remember. Do you know why? Because when you were a little kid going to school, it was kind of a big deal of who had what for breakfast. You ever talk to an old person and they say, I can't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning? You ever see that? Anybody ever experience that? You know why? Because it's not important to know what you had for breakfast. They stopped having it being important. But when you're kids, you learn this subroutine of what you had for breakfast is important. That somebody might ask you, so you need to remember. Is it important? No. It's important that you have a good breakfast. Is it important that you remember what you had for breakfast? No. Okay? So our brains don't know what they need to remember on their own. They only know because we gave it meaning. Does anybody remember the first time they got an electric shock? Means what? Yes or no?
Well,
Do you remember the first time you got an electric shock?
Yeah. I mean, of course.
How about the first time you got burned?
Yeah.
How old were you? How about you, Andrea? How old were you?
I was like,
Andrea? 3. Wow. How many other things do you think you remember from when you were 3? You had 365 days. You're probably awake 10 hours a day. 3,650 hours worth of stuff. How many other things do you remember from when you were 3?
not much,
No, almost nothing. Why do you remember that?
because I had attached meaning with it, not to.
What was the meaning? Don't do that again.
Yeah.
Okay? So on their own, our brains don't know what is important or not important. We have to say, this you need to remember. And our brains are built in on a past generation, before caveman day type of thing, that there's some things you don't need to say, oh, I need to remember, don't touch the stove again. It's automatic. We know that. Other things we get through life we don't even remember at all. Who has a driver's license in here? Who knows how to drive? Okay. So we'll do another mental experiment. Remember the first time you got behind the wheel driving? Hyper attentive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, look right, look how much do I push down the gas pedal?
Yeah.
Should I take, what should I do? What happened 2 weeks later?
It started to become
Like,
like.
Okay, a month later.
automatic.
A month later, you don't even remember. If you drive to the store a month after you get your license, what are you doing while you're driving to the store? You're eating a cheeseburger, you're talking on the phone, you're singing a song. You don't even know how you got there. Why? Because our brains have been trained to drive. We don't need to remember that. They know how to drive. If you're driving the car and you're singing your favorite song and you're eating a cheeseburger and you're talking to somebody on the phone and the car in front of you puts the red lights on, are you going to notice? Yeah, you're going to notice. It's going to take that long if you're looking that way. If you're looking at your phone, you're not going to see it. But our brains, we teach them how to do things where we're not conscious of. Most of the stuff we do, but our brain doesn't know on its own. We have to teach it to do that. We have to teach it to remember. So in our brain, we have certain cells that are called what, Erica?
They're called neurons.
Called neurons. And they look like what?
Like little trees.
They look like trees. And where these neurons touch each other, a little current goes through, a little chemical reaction goes through it, and the string of these things is where memories are stored in our neurons. Okay, and how many neurons do we have in our
80
brain?
billion.
We have about 80 billion of these little trees, these nerves. And every neuron has how many branches?
10,000.
10,000 little branches. That's a big number. Okay, that's 80 billion with 4 zeros after. Big number. That's how our brains work. And so what happens, so in other words, when you have a thought, it's not 2 neurons, it might be 20 million neurons are involved in it. But the process is you do a thing, and electrical and chemical signal goes like that. Goes from this neuron to that neuron. Or it might go, to this neuron, and then it travels down like that. Okay, so here's how our brain decides whether it's important. One way. One is the gut level thing, where it's called gut level. You get in a car wreck, you get in something, and it's a pre-thinking thing. It's instinct. Okay? Don't touch a hot stove. You don't need to do it. But other things, like let's say learning how to type, or learning a mathematical equation. So the first time you do it, it's like that. Then you do it again. And it's like that. And then you do it again. And what do you think is happening to this signal, this pathway?
It's getting stronger.
It's getting stronger because you just keep doing it. So these branches are getting better at connecting to one another. And so when you can do things without even thinking about it, it's because your brain started doing a thing and it can do it automatically. So the thing is, every time you see something, say something, write something, you make another copy in your brain. You're doing this. So when you learn to play music, anybody here ever learn to play music? Okay, so when you learn to play a piano, you do the same thing over and over, and you learn this, and you just keep repeating. It gets thicker and thicker and thicker and stronger and stronger and stronger and faster and faster and faster. And then you don't even have to think about what key comes next. It's like typing. If anybody knows how to type, you see the letter S, do you say to yourself, where's the S key? No, because your brain knows where the S key is. You've trained it to do that. That's the reason that. So at our school, we don't give photocopies. We don't do that. You have to write it down, because how many copies are you making in your brain when you have to write something down? First, you what? You hear me say it, right? Then you have to think, okay, now I got to write this down. So what did he say? So you then have to have short-term memory of that. Then you're going to write it, right? And when you write it, what are you watching yourself do? Write it. You're watching yourself write it. And when you have written it, what do you see? What you wrote. Okay? So you're making copy, 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 copy. You're seeing it. It's more reinforcement. Well, why doesn't everybody do that? Why aren't you saying, duh, you already know that, you already write everything down? Why is it when I'm observing, people aren't writing? Because we've been trained and conditioned to not write. But not everyone. Who does take notes, Erica?
Students who remember.
Good students. The fundamental question, what's the difference between a good student and a not good student? Therese?
The student who takes notes.
No,
Who
not just that.
remembers the knowledge.
Good students remember more than not good students.
Mm-hmm.
It's that easy. You want to be a good student? Just remember more. Because when you're in elementary school, middle school, high school, most of college, they test you on what they already talked about. It's not till you get into law school that you get tested on things that you didn't even cover in class, that you're supposed to learn on your own. Because that's how life works if you're in the term. But when you're in elementary school, 100% of the test is stuff that the teacher already talked about, right?
Yeah.
So the difference between a good student and a bad student is just somebody who remembers what they were told. But our brains are designed to forget 70%. Why? Just too much stuff. If you had to remember every second of every day, not just every second of every day, the emotion, or not the emotion, the sense, okay, what did I feel, what did I hear, what did I see, what did I taste, what did I smell, for each one of your senses, if you had to remember every second of every day, we would not be able to do it. There's no computer that can do that. So our brains have to forget 70% of what we learn, not experience, what we learn, they automatically don't. So if you go to school and you don't review your notes, what is your brain going to think?
That the information is not important.
Not important, right? If you don't take notes, if you don't review your notes, your brain is going to think it's not important. Now, what happens if you don't take notes?
They're going to forget.
Okay, how do you remember? How can you remember something you didn't take notes on that you forgot? Huh?
Watch a video on it.
Okay, that's why we do the video. Thank you. I was hoping somebody would say that. We do the videos, we do these videos because we know you're not going to remember, and we also know people at this stage do not instinctively take notes. They don't instinctively take notes because we are conditioned to believe notes are not important. How many people, what's your favorite TV show, Andrea?
Probably Supernatural.
Supernatural, okay. Erica?
Game of Thrones.
Okay, now, how many times do you take notes while you're watching the show? Zero, right? Okay, we're conditioned. We don't take notes when we watch stuff. That's how we're conditioned. And we don't have teachers that say, look, I don't want to see anybody looking at me. I want to see you looking at your paper. We don't do that. But what do you think they do at Stanford? What do you think the professors at Stanford see when they're talking to a class?
People take notes.
Yeah, they don't see people looking at them. They see people looking at their papers. If somebody's looking at you, let's say you're in an MBA class or undergraduate at Stanford, and the teacher's talking and you're looking, what is the body language? What's the nonverbal communication there? What's the professor thinking? Saying, poor student, he's not going to remember this. He's going to have no notes, or he's going to have to ask somebody for their notes. He's not going to remember this. These other people who are writing this stuff as fast as they can, they have a chance. That's what the professor's thinking. Now, if you're in law school and you're not looking at the professor, what does the professor think?
You're not listening.
You're not prepared. That's what the professor in law school thinks. You're not prepared. Because what happens if you're an attorney representing somebody in a criminal trial and the jury's talking, things are going on, and you're writing notes down? What's the jury going to think? Versus you're just sitting there like this.
They're not paying attention to in case this comes up.
No, the jury is going to think, if you're writing stuff down, you're not prepared. This is all new stuff to you. If you're sitting there like this, you're giving up the vibe. I already know this stuff. It's not important. This is not important. That's what you want the jury to feel, right? If the prosecutor's saying, this guy did this, he did all of these things, do you want the jury to see you looking at your client and saying, did you really do that? What does the jury think if you did that? Guilty, right? You want the jury to think, I already know that this is just his story. That's not the truth. That's just that guy's story. He doesn't have all the facts, or he's misleading you. I'm not going to get upset about it. So in law school, you're supposed to be looking at the professor because you're supposed to be prepared. In graduate school, you're supposed to be taking notes because you need to be able to remember. In law school, you already had to remember it. You need to be able to communicate it. So, the ultimate take-home from today, because we only have 1 minute, the ultimate take-home for today is that you will be successful in life if you remember more than other people. And the thing for getting a job today is the cloud. But the cloud is the thing you want to teach yourself, but you don't want to try to go out and do it on your own. Our school teaches you how to use the cloud to become employed. So you don't have a job, you end up what? What was the first thing I put up here? See, it hasn't even been a day, and they don't remember. And you wrote it down. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. If you go get the job you want, that you love doing, it's not a job anymore. It's not this. It's a career. It's a calling. It's a destiny. To get this, you just have to know things that that employer wants. The main thing the employer wants is to make money or save money. And that's who they're looking to hire. Okay, that's all we have time for. I will be back next week.